Welcome to This Podcast is Making Me Thirsty, the number one destination for Seinfeld fans. This is Two Up and Two Down. Here's our producer, Chris, to start us off.
All right, Thirsty fans, thanks for tuning in again for another episode of Two Up and Two Down. And today we have The Maid from season 9. So, Tony, why don't you start us off with your first up?
The Maid season 9, one of the last, I think it was the last episode before the Puerto Rican Day Parade and then the finale. So not quite the last, but I believe they stopped rerunning the Puerto Rican. So in all essence, it is kind of the last episode, if you will. But it in my mind, and O'Hara, we just touched on a little bit. Yeah, it's not the worst in season 9, that's for sure. It's one of the stronger ones in season 9, I'd say. But we got to find 2 ups and 2 downs. So we'll start with the ups. We talked to Cindy, the maid, and Angie Featherstone, one of our first guests we've had, and she gave us the rundown on this, where Jerry had a cold throughout this episode, and I think it actually enhanced the episode in a way. His voice. And particularly the scene with Elaine, it's like we have our personal relationship and our work relationship, and they're separate and sophisticated. I do like that Jerry, tried to maintain that sophistication there, and Elaine just needling him like nothing more sophisticated than diddling the maid and chewing some gum. Great line. I thought that Jerry kind of in those scenes with Elaine and kind of showing that he was paying for a maid and he had a girlfriend. That whole separation there, I thought his voice made it funnier. We all do like when Jerry's kind of voice gets higher and a little bit, he starts to yell a little bit. So I think it added something to it here, and I thought it did. It did give me an up. Jerry gave me a few chuckles on that stuff.
All right, thanks, Tony. Chris, over to you. What's your first up?
I hope we're not comparing his voice to the Rafe voice, but anyway. Well, listen, you mentioned her. I'm going to take her. Angie Featherstone. What can you say? Stole the show in this episode. It was remarkable. I loved her. Forget about the outfits. The camaraderie. Talk about no jealousy. She said, "Oh, hi, Elaine. Hi, Kramer." Like she felt like part of the crew. Like she was always there. And I love people that know Kramer, and obviously Elaine. There's no certainly no threat because she's I don't know, she's a hooker or not, whatever. But at the end of the day, great job by Featherstone. We've seen her in all the Sandler stuff throughout the years, and was great to see her. And great to one of our first guests. So forever, big part of this show, but was a big part of this show. So I think it's called The Maid, for crying out loud, and she was the maid. So for me, easy one up. One of the better guest stars of season 9.
Yeah, that's definitely a solid up. So great mention there, Chris. Tony, back to you. What do you have for your next up?
I've been looking at my list here as he was talking. I don't know where to go with this next one. He's only got 2. Maybe I'll save one of them for the grade. I feel like O'Hara might get out my case on this one, but I like the fax machine stuff with Kramer and Elaine. When Elaine says to Kramer, "Then maybe you have a fax machine." Kramer, "You just blew my mind." And then later on, when Kramer says, "When can I pick up those faxes?" and Elaine's like, "You can pick them up right now." In his ear. Listen, there it is. I had to needle O'Hara with that one. I got a chuckle on the E. I like the Kramer. How many times am I going to get this? Kramer's like, every day I got the whole year's worth, and that's when Alicia's like, "Oh fuck, I'm fucked." She goes to answer the phone. She's hitting the messages, and each time she knows what it's going to be. Skips over George. Listen, season 9, you're trying to find some ups here and there. That's where I'm landing. So the kind of the fax machine, I'm rolling all into one thing there, all those different scenes, and calling that my second up.
Tony, you like the funny noises in this episode? Did Jerry's voice, the fax machine noise? All right. Chris, over to you. What's your second up?
Am I on the right podcast? I mean, my first down was fax machine. So you know where I'm going with that. I'm doing ups, right? Still okay. Yeah. Oh, baby. Can't wait to hear this grade. All right, here we go. I thought Tony would have went this route because he likes this guy, Kruger. I like Kruger. Again, early on, I didn't beat a dead horse a little bit, but Kruger having everyone chant T-Bone for the other guy. And then I did like the small scene where Kruger's like, George is really giving it to T-Bone. Like the way he said that. Um, Kruger's Kruger. And I think typically he doesn't overdo it. And, working in an office, you can relate to a guy like Kruger. I've worked with a bunch of knuckleheads over the years, and Kruger's he's one of them. So he may not be for everyone, but he's for me in this episode. So I'm going to go Kruger as my second up.
Yeah, those are good two solid picks for guest stars on the show for up. So, all right, Tony, over to you. What do you got for the down?
Yeah, I can say the same thing back over here. All of a sudden, this guy's liking. Maybe you want to say Kruger, but come on now, the George stuff. We'll get there, but you couldn't like that. All right, my first down we're doing now, or is my second up? My first down, right?
First down, yep.
Yeah, it stinks because I had another good up there. All right, my first down then. Listen, I did give the fax machine a little bit of an up there, but my first down is Elaine. I mean, we've gone to this well so many times. If you've watched this show by now, you know where we're going. Season 9. This is another terrible Elaine with the area code stuff. Even if you want to make the premise, she's got a new area code. We all remember new area codes come out. It's a little bit whatever. Fine. That could have been something. But come on, man. The grandma, mammy, whatever the hell calling your nana's calling the whole thing with the whole firefighters busting at the end. Hold on, we're gonna save you. That right there, that's the epitome of why season 9 is horrible. It's just you got a small little premise that's okay, and then you give me 15 minutes of it, culminating in the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life with the firefighters knocking down the door to save Elaine. That's where I'm going with this one. So don't worry about it. We're coming back down to earth a little bit here. That's my first down. Is the Elaine just atrocious stuff with the whole phone guy. I can kill this guy. No one will know. Is everything about it. Really, the firefighter stuff is what really just topped it off for me. Is when I'm done at that point. So. That's my
absolutely classic beating a dead horse. With dragging on a bit that went on way too long. So yeah, definitely down. Chris, over to you. What's your first down?
Agree, and very unrelatable. Yeah, we relate in New York to 646-212-708, but nobody cares around the country about that, in my opinion. But again, I'm curious. The fax machine. On the scale, where's Tony going with this one? Is the fax machine that much greater than the 646 stuff? We'll find out in the grade, I guess. So, had that as well. First down for me, again, happens a lot in season 8 and 9. Them all getting together. Typically rarely happens at Monk's, but here it happened at the counter. Couldn't stand this scene. First off, and then Kramer comes in with the I Love New York stuff, right? Am I right on that? Yeah. And then Elaine comes in and they're bobbing their head back and forth and Newman died. Like, what? Like, Monk's is quiet as a church, for crying out loud. You tell me they couldn't hear each other right next to each other in the counter? I've sat in a counter plenty of times with 3-4 people. It's not a big deal. So that just made zero sense. The Newman died line, I couldn't stand. So, and then they all that felt forced. Just they all have to send up. Why? I don't know. I'm going on and on. I don't know what I'm talking about, but the counter stuff, first down.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and yeah, it is a down. So thanks, Chris. Over to you, Tony. What's your second down?
Yeah, it's funny. And again, he's gonna love this one for me. I wrote the counter stuff in both my ups and my downs. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like it's very Abbott Costello, the whole thing, but I also see his point. It's depending on my mood, it's a down or an up. That one, it's a weird one with me, but I definitely see why he saw it as a down. I feel like they tried something there, and it didn't. It probably didn't land. My next down, I mean, he gave Kruger an up, and maybe you can give Kruger an up, but you can't give George an up. You can't give T-Bone an up. You can't give Coco an up. You can't give him yelling like a monkey outside with the guy in the banana going up and down the steps. I mean, come on, folks. What the hell is going on? The chanting of T-Bone I didn't love. I mean, the cold open stuff with George, I'm done with that. I need a new nickname. I've gone too far with George. This is a suicide talk or the nickname talk. Who has either of those talks ever? I mean, so dumb. Really, I have to say it's a full George down, just because I threw the cold open in there too. But you see where we're going here. We got a bad George, we got a bad Elaine. So that's my second down. Is just the whole T-Bone stuff. Just done with it.
All right, yeah, thanks, Tony. Chris, over to you. What do you have for your second down?
Yeah, ever eat an ostrich burger? Okay. Anyway, for me, the biggest down of this episode, you mentioned Elaine, you mentioned I think it's Kramer. I mean, Kramer has his girlfriend moving downtown, and then Madeline's her name. Okay, I remember this. I don't know why. He's on the phone like a teenage boy on the couch watching a television show with Madeline. Kramer, you gotta be kidding me. And then him stuck in the phone booth. Yeah, I know. Nexus Universe, fine. I'll give you that. But yelling into the phone. And then that bothered me. You mentioned Jerry's voice. I think Jerry took the voice to another level, which I beat a dead horse. Oh, Kramer, I will find you. Like, oh, I mean, what are we doing at this point? I'll give you the Jerry stuff with Featherstone and, we're through and you're fired. But like this Kramer girlfriend stuff, I talk about this a lot. Like, unless he's stealing it from Jerry or George, I don't want to see him with anybody. And he's not even with them. They never even show the girlfriend. And I know Pink Hat's going to be like, that's the beauty of it. We don't see Sacamano either. Well, maybe we should in these later years because you got to give me something. So Kramer's a pretty significant down. And I'll save a little more for the grade.
I didn't really like that Kramer stuff either. So yeah, good mention there for a down. So Tony, wrap it up with a grade and your thoughts here.
Madeline stays here when he takes the phone away. Horrible. And I thought you were going with a grade. I forgot. It's my turn for the grade. You were on a roll. Listen, you're right. I actually like when Kramer yells, "Hey, buddy, don't say no." The collect call. We've all been there. You just say your message on the collect call. That's all he should have said. But I guess he had to, Jerry had to pick up the collect call. Everyone loves First and First. Must be the next universe and the famous Rays conversation. Again, non-New Yorkers may not get that inside joke with the famous Rays, famous original Rays. It's just original Jerry. The whole thing. Yeah, I mean. The Maid, is one of the ones where I thought I liked it more, but the more I'm watching it again, and just there's the ending with the tie-in with the guy picking Kramer up. Oh, you work a mop and that whole thing. It turns into all of a sudden this guy's a pimp and picking up Kramer off the street. Jerry with the Kenny Rogers stuff and the rodeo. I was at a rodeo. Horrible. There's a lot of downs here. It's not a great episode, and O'Hara may be surprised by my grade, but we're putting our grades on pen to paper here. This is going to be the grade I'm going to give this episode, and I can't go. I'm going to go D plus for the Maid. I'm going to go D plus for the Maid. I think I seeing what I've given above D's to C minuses and C's. The Maid doesn't land in that category for me. The Elaine stuff's just so bad, and the George stuff is just so bad that no matter what I got out of it after that, Cindy we love, but other than that, D plus for the Maid.
All right, yeah, thank you, Tony. So Chris, over to you. Give us your grades and thoughts.
Yeah, I was on a roll before. I was about to spit out the grade, but I held back. The ostrich burger, the phone company, but the fax machine stuff was as nauseating as can be. And it's the Kramer and Elaine. It's not as bad as the Slicer because they weren't as together, but they're together enough. It's just enough already. No, you're right. I think the Jerry and Elaine explaining the dynamic of the Maid, interesting. Not all time, but I guess I could save this episode. But what about the plane battleship? I thought I was like watching Friends, for crying out loud, with Jerry and Elaine playing Battleship, and
Forgot that.
And then he says, "What's that, Elaine?" And she has to say, "Kaboom." Oh, come on. Like, would that ever make it? Would Larry David ever put that in? I don't think so. So, yeah, the Kramer, the pimp. I didn't actually even mind the pimp. It was fairly interesting. But again, if I'm saying the pimp is good and Featherstone's obviously great, what else are we lifting here? I mean, I'm shocked they didn't just throw Newman into this episode. Like they always try to throw something in just like for the heck of it in season 9 like this, but they didn't. Maybe they should have. The Maid's a D minus. Plain and simple.
There you go, folks. Season 9, D minus for the Maid. And as you can see, that goes in line with our thoughts on the entire season. So, all right. Thanks again, folks, for tuning in for our analysis and thoughts here. And we'll see you on the next one.